I'm your cult boyfriend. I'm Zach. And today I'm talking about Seventh Heaven. Brenda Hampton's Seventh Heaven. I've covered a Brenda Hampton show before, The Secret Life of the American Teenager. I hated it. But even then, I had this weird sort of profoundly misplaced, possibly respect for Brenda Hampton, and I always kept that with me. She struck me as so interesting, and I rage quit The Secret Life of the American Teenager during the first season. Um, ooh, buddy, I can say that Seventh Heaven is better than The Secret Life of the American Teenager, if that means anything at all. It really shouldn't mean very much. Brenda Hampton makes teen television with a Christian POV. She's been charged with making Christian propaganda, conservative propaganda. She's been charged with being an extraordinarily problematic showrunner and creative. I disagree with all that harshness. Seventh Heaven is occasionally unhinged. It is rather consistently insane. It's pretty wild. It's goofy. It's extraordinarily wholesome. It's tone deaf a lot of the times, and I think that this is possibly deliberate because I do believe that Brenda Hampton is courting the American Christian market. And look at the numbers. I think she did extraordinarily well. Exceptionally well at cornering that Christian demographic. Seventh Heaven was on the WB, and Seventh Heaven is still the most watched show that ever aired on the WB. This means more people were watching the Camdens than were watching Buffy or Dawson's Creek or Gilmore Girls. Seventh Heaven was a phenomenon. And I think it's interesting and also telling of the show's weaknesses that Buffy, Dawson's Creek, and Gilmore Girls are still looked back on fondly. Even as I do and as actual academics do, are starting to look back at those shows as if they were high art. Deservedly so. But Seventh Heaven seems to be exempt from that sort of post-mortem praise. I watched 3 seasons of Seventh Heaven before making this video. I was waiting until I had something really profound to say about the show, and then I decided that day's not going to come. That day's not going to come for me. I have to just make it now, because honestly, the episodes are extremely formulaic, and I think that's also fine. I think that part of TV should necessarily be formulaic. I think Brenda Hampton understands television extremely well. While I don't think that Seventh Heaven is a propagandist show, I think that it is manipulative, but I think that all television is manipulative. So I don't really see what's exceptionally bad about her Christian POV within Seventh Heaven. And while certain episodes may be tone deaf to the point of hilarity, my favorite episode is from the second season called Girls Just Want to Have Fun. Guest star Shiri Appleby, before she stole my heart away, became a huge crush of mine on Roswell as Liz. She was incredible on Roswell, but she appears here as a baby doll, as a member of an extraordinarily violent street gang. And she's like the most unbelievable type of person to join a street gang. She just is a really sweet looking girl with a sweet voice, and all of the dialogue is absurd. They find her hidden stash of weapons, and I'm not fucking joking. There are nunchucks in there. It's there's like 1,000 knives and brass knuckles and different colored pills and catnip in little baggies. It's like what the Christian mom thinks gangs are like. It's like a starter pack, a very cursed, very goofy starter pack for um, how Christian moms view the world. I just had a lot of fun with it. It was fun for me because it was so unbelievable and so corny, but I'm not sure if Brenda Hampton didn't already know that when she made that episode. There are so many decisions within Seventh Heaven and within The Secret Life of the American Teenager that make me think, Brenda, are you being dumb and insincere on purpose in order to fully appeal to a wide conservative fan base? But that would imply that she would think that a wide conservative fan base were stupid. But I do think she understands television well enough to know that there's a large part of television that appeals to like the reptilian part of our brain, right? So I don't know. I've always wanted to interview Brenda Hampton more than people that I respect wholeheartedly. I would turn down an opportunity to interview Kevin Williamson or like Amy Sherman Palladino. I would turn down opportunities to interview people who I think are wildly talented in order to sit down with Brenda Hampton. I want to know what she thinks spiritual television is, right? Because I do think I'm not here to question Brenda Hampton's Christianity. She's a Christian if she says she's a Christian, and I buy that she's a Christian. I also believe that there is a part of Seventh Heaven that is genuine about its moral code, about its moral compass, which is kind of rigid, but also just kind of convoluted and nonsensical. Sometimes all the characters in this family are so sanitized that it just feels like a farce, right? But it's a Christian fantasy. So I think that Brenda Hampton constructed a teen drama Christian fantasy within Seventh Heaven, and low key made pornography of it within The Secret Life of the American Teenager. I think these are fascinating works to look at back to back. And no, I'm not saying that The Secret Life of the American Teenager is like sexually super explicit, but compared to Seventh Heaven, it is. Compared to Seventh Heaven, The Secret Life of the American Teenager is the slutty, like, half sister. It's I think interesting to think about. I wish I had something profound to say, but all I can do is kind of tell you what's been going on in my mind when I've been watching the show. And I did give it a fair chance, and I don't hate it. I just am not compelled by it. I didn't hate it at all. It was entertaining. It just wasn't profound, and I knew it wasn't going to give me a whole lot to deconstruct and to analyze, except for the fact that it exists, and exists in the form that it does, and was as popular as it was. So I went in this originally trying to keep in mind, like I made up this mental image in my head that I'm sure I at least pray to the seventh heaven Jesus actually existed. Like this mental image of a sheltered preteen or teenager in the mid 90s who wasn't allowed to really watch anything on television, but whose family maybe heard at church or something about this new hip show called Seventh Heaven that is actually like a Bible kind of morality play, like a Bible centered show focusing on clerics and preachers and families with kind of Christian values, with a dash of modernity within there. So like I'm thinking of that sheltered kid who like gets to watch something on the WB, gets to watch something on the same channel that Buffy or Dawson's Creek is airing on. Those kind of, I'm sure more risque shows that Christian teenagers, if they come from a more like orthodox or strict family, probably weren't allowed to see. And I wanted to know if that sheltered Christian teenager who only really gets to watch Seventh Heaven is getting a Dawson's Creek level experience from it. Now, I think Dawson's Creek obviously is its quality is high postmodern art. Same with Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Same with Gilmore Girls. So they're not getting like qualitatively the same kind of experience. And like I was comfortable with that by the middle of season one, thinking like, okay, it's not gonna get profound. It's not gonna get really rich, deep, and textured. But are they still getting the same markers from this Christian teen drama. And when I say like Christian teen drama, what was I briefly looked this up. Sorry, I'm not incredibly prepared, but there's like a conservative group that was like pretty respected within Christian communities. I don't know if they still are, but they were once. It's called the Parents Television Council. It was a conservative media advocacy group, and they often would cite Seventh Heaven as the best teen drama or family centered show on popular television. So like it wasn't only adopted by independent Christian families, but actual Christian, even conservative organizations seem to approve, put their stamp of approval upon this project. So I was like, but do they still get the same markers? We won't get anything as deep or conflicted or passionate as Pacey, Joey, Dawson triangle, but do we get a triangle? Like we may not get anything as striking as Michelle Williams like walking out of that taxi in her first appearance, but do we get something similar? Like do we get the same bare bones, like the bare bones essentials that you need in order to have a decent teen drama experience, albeit with the possible handicap of it being tied intimately to a Christian philosophy? And I think that you do. All right. I think the reason why Seventh Heaven was so popular and is so unpopular now is all about context and timing. I think that if a sheltered Christian teen who really didn't have exposure to all the cool new fucking teen movies like Scream and 10 Things I Hate About You and all and Can't Hardly Wait and shit, I think that if they and didn't have access obviously to the other teen dramas of the time, not even my so-called life or Beverly Hills 90210, I think if all they had was Seventh Heaven, they would still get the fundamentals of what makes teen drama beautiful. And that's what started me to think psychotically that Brenda Hampton is an unsung teen drama hero, because I think that through Seventh Heaven, through Christianity, she was able to bring the true holy gospel of teen drama into Christian households. And even have it like for I sound like a madman, but Brenda Hampton, I think, was doing honestly the Lord's work. Now I feel like I have to reiterate that this shit is campy, it's goofy, it's corny. And I think it had to be campy, goofy, and corny, and super wholesome, so wholesome to the point that some of it felt like a farce and formulaic, in order for Christian families to really feel safe and comfortable with the show. And I do think that the safest and corniest episodes, at least when it comes to morality, are in the first half of the first season, where Brenda Hampton and Seventh Heaven are still working to earn the trust of Christian families. And like once they get it, they don't abuse it, but they do start adding a bit more of that reckless teen spirit in there, albeit in fucking ridiculous ways, like the Sherry Appleby episode that I just talked about, that I loved, that I sure loved, but like they started to at least add a kind of more modern feeling, if not postmodern feeling, new teen archetypes that were being popularized by Kevin Williamson and Joss Whedon at the time in the brother and sister shows of the WB. So I think that a sheltered Christian youth is definitely still getting the same sort of effect. And also I think a big part of being a teenager watching the WB is you form crushes on these characters. And Seventh Heaven isn't a show that tells you not to, right? I mean, I remember my first crush was Sarah Michelle Gellar in Buffy. Like that was my first ever crush. That was my actual like awakening, romantic awakening, honestly, my sexual awakening. And I think that teen shows are important for that when young viewers are coming of age. And Seventh Heaven isn't a show that tells you not to. In fact, every part of it is telling you to have a crush on the older brother Matt. Every part of it, everyone keeps talking about how handsome he is, and he's a handsome, goofy, naive, but also I think oddly heroic kind of kid, and you do feel for him. The actor's name was Barry. Was it Barry Watson? Is that what his name was? I loved him in the actual Kevin Williamson project, teaching Mrs. Tingle. I thought he was great. Um, Barry Watson, yeah, Matt Camden. I thought he was quite excellent there. And I think it's quite excellent on the show. And I guess my point there is that the show is telling like young girls who I think would primarily be the audience of a WB program to have a crush on this guy. And I like it hits all of the markers, the narrative markers. Is it hitting those? Yes. The two girls, Lucy and Mary, played by Jessica Biel, uh, they go through boy troubles and they go through plenty of boyfriends. They have a pretty healthy dating life, and they're all different types of boys with different types of problems. Some are single dads, others are just like too immature to know how to handle anything, and others are like red flags and you should stay away from them. And also there are times where Lucy or Mary are at fault within their relationships. Now that's not complicated, that's bare bones complicated, but it is the fundamentals. It is like the markers you need to get a good teen drama. There is unexpected drama, unexpected melodrama. If you're a guest star on the show, and there are plenty of great guest stars, everyone from Shiri Appleby to Paul Johansson to Allison Mack, so many people I saw on this show who would later go on to do legendary things within the form. But if you are a guest star, like you could fucking die. You can at least get crippled. There's a lot of drama, a lot of high stakes drama, a lot of soap opera operatics. You know, that this was executive produced by Aaron Spelling as well, and he's quite the devilish television genius in his own right, going from Beverly Hills 90210 to like also producing the ultra Christian traditional family drama at the same time. uh, Aaron Spelling produced it, and Aaron Spelling of course revolutionized television and teen dramas by creating Beverly Hills 90210, by giving a prime time soap opera a teen makeover. Essentially is what he did. He's the first one who had enough faith or had enough belief that a teen drama in a prime time slot could be a phenomenal kind of experience, and he was absolutely right. And Seventh Heaven does, I think, have a lot of maybe Spelling-esque soap opera parts to it. And Brenda Hampton, I think, she gets criticized so much for being formulaic, and and she is incredibly formulaic, but I think that her brand of television is a more, I wouldn't say classical, because you know I think that was what was popular within the late 80s to mid 90s, but it is, television is more formulaic, at least television that needs a certain kind of status quo to return to, which is Seventh Heaven. Shows like Dawson's Creek don't really need a status quo to return to, and also like that's a postmodern show, so it's about disrupting the status quo to begin with. Seventh Heaven is not postmodern. Brenda Hampton is not a postmodernist. She's a traditionalist when it comes to television, and with Seventh Heaven you get a far more traditional show, which is I think far more of its time. And I believe that in order to convince a primarily Christian audience that teen dramas are good to watch, that are beneficial to experience with the whole family, you have to provide them with a formula so that the Christian parent doesn't feel like they've been caught off guard or unawares. I think you have to teach them a formula that they grow to understand and appreciate, or else they might not understand that that the people who are having premarital sex in the first 5 minutes won't feel regretful and be punished in some way for it in the last 5 minutes. Like Christians need that, um, that kind of faith with the structure, with the formula, in order to keep returning. They don't want to. I find them, Christian families, to be very paranoid about the media that their kids watch. And I'm not here to make any statements about Christian families and whether they should be paranoid or that controlling or strict. I'm not here to fucking talk about that. I'm here to talk about the woman, Brenda Hampton, who convinced them all to tune in to Seventh Heaven every week for 11 years. I'm talking about her, who convinced them all to watch a basically all the characteristics. It looks exactly like a teen drama, And I believe that the markers, it is a teen drama. Heavy emphasis on family. That's fine. But it is a teen drama. It follows all of the marks. Heartache, loss, triangles, fucking the guys who date both sisters, right? Like kind of like fucked up shit. Like there is drama here. Matt gets his heart broken by several different women. Like there is everything that you need from the teen drama here. There's rebellion at school. There's breaking rules. There's innocently hurting someone very badly, and then you have to learn about even the smallest actions that you make have consequences, about learning history. It's about learning from your mistakes. Like you get all the stuff that you would get from the most basic teen drama, and it's kind of bringing spiritual television, Christian television, more up to speed. Like without Seventh Heaven, kind of more moralistic teen art would be stuck in the Stone Age without Brenda Hampton. I think Brenda Hampton, damn, dude, she's so hard for me to talk about because I can't necessarily praise her work as is because I've never watched a single episode of her work that actually moved me. It made me go, oh wow. Never. Never in my fucking life. But I'm so impressed with what her work, I think, represents to a more spiritual, specifically Christian audience. And I think that Seventh Heaven more so than The Secret Life of the American Teenager. But even if you compare those two, like The Secret Life of the American Teenager shows just how far she brought Christianity into teen drama. If Christian families were really comfortable with some of the stuff in The Secret Life of the American Teenager, that's wild to me. There was some obscene shit that show was kind of perverted, low key. Like there's insane shit in The Secret Life of the American Teenager. And if that's also, it was also a Christian show, and I think it was also still made for Christians. And if that's how far Christian television had come from 96 when Seventh Heaven started, then Seventh Heaven did an extraordinary amount of heavy lifting when it came to Christian storytelling, specifically within teen television. Now, like the rest of that analysis would be like, is it worth it? Is it worth it? Is it worth having these Christian teen dramas, even if they aren't very good? But I would say, of course it is. Of course it is. You know, at the end of the day, we can analyze and we can deconstruct Gossip Girl and Skins and Dawson's Creek and Buffy all day long, all night long. But I think what's most important, beyond the artistry and the beauty of some of these more sophisticated teen dramas, is that you are, as a teenager, exposed to the markers, to the tropes of teen drama, in order to stay up to date, not just with like your own growth and maturity, but with your growth and maturity through media, or else you'll feel really like left behind. And I think that like artistic maturity is just as important as physical, like actual emotional maturity, like in our real lives. So I think that even if there was this kid I made up in my head, this sheltered Christian teen or preteen who only had access to Seventh Heaven, that's so much better than nothing at all. It's so much better because then that kid can start to form cinematic expectations of reality, or maybe even see their own reality mirrored back to them through some of the various scenarios within these kind of soapy episodes of Seventh Heaven. And they can do what we all do. We can associate highly with certain characters and scenes, and we can like learn from them and keep parts of them in our hearts. I think that's beautiful. This is why I'd like to interview Brenda Hampton. I'd like to know what she thinks she's accomplished, because she's accomplished a great deal. And you can look at it from 1,000 like different angles. Like she's obviously an accomplished showrunner. She created her own company, Brenda Vision, for Christ's sakes. She's a very accomplished writer. She's award winning. But what does she think is her greatest accomplishment? Because I think I know what I would say, what I would personally say her greatest accomplishment is. And it is, yeah, it is introducing Christianity to the teen drama revolution of the 90s, to the teen drama television revolution of the 90s. I think that's that's her largest accomplishment, because I don't think she understands just how much she inspired these possibly made up, but I really don't think they're made up considering the numbers and some of the anecdotes I've heard from people when I told them I was watching Seventh Heaven. Some of them would be like that. Well, my family watched that and they didn't watch anything else, you know. I think that what she did for those kinds of people is immeasurable in a way, because I don't think there's anything about Seventh Heaven that is directly harmful. Um, and I also don't think there's anything about Seventh Heaven that's even accidentally artful or clever. But Seventh Heaven, I think, is an entirely necessary show, and I'm glad it existed. I think it's fascinating to see Christianity being introduced to the new teen TV revolution. Brenda Hampton's one of the most fascinating television auteurs I've ever covered. I have great difficulties with liking her work. I can't seem to just genuinely like her work outside of laughing at it. And I don't even know if I'm laughing at it ironically or post ironically. I'm just laughing sometimes and it feels disrespectful. But I respect her so much. Respect Brenda Hampton so much, man. Most fascinating auteur. And it is so singular. Her signature is like everywhere, dude. And all I did was watch a season of The Secret Life of the American Teenager, and I never forgot it. It's like there in my fucking head, burned into my skull. And I put on an episode of Seventh Heaven and it's unmistakable. You know exactly who the author is. You know exactly who the auteur is. You know exactly who created it. You know it's Brenda Hampton. Unmistakable. And yeah, I have a great deal of affection for Brenda Hampton without having any true affection for her work. And that's a relationship with an artist that I've never had before. I've never had like a love for an artist that didn't at least stem partly from from the quality of their art. It's like, I find this broad fascinating. This chick's really intriguing to me. And yeah, and I am kind of let down, right? I because I couldn't think of anything quite profound to say about like the show in and of itself, about any like plot line or storyline within it. And I looked on YouTube and elsewhere, and it's just everybody, I don't know, having a circle jerk, just fucking dogging on Seventh Heaven, which is easy, right? Like that's too easy. Where's even the fun in that? There's no challenge in that. And instead of making fun of this once super popular show, what if we asked, why was it super popular? I have seen certain articles that are interesting, or maybe even Reddit posts, I forget, but it was like, I hate Seventh Heaven because it tricked me into believing in a perfect Christian family unit. I don't know, get in line with like literally any other fucking show with a healthy family. I don't know yeah, it's a Christian fantasy. Maturity is realizing that a lot of the material you watched when you were a kid or a teenager is largely fantastical. I don't think there's anything harmful within Brenda Hampton's work, especially in Seventh Heaven. There's a lot of problematic things about Seventh Heaven, but not with her. The lead, Stephen Collins, is a fucking piece of shit. I don't know. I don't even feel like talking about that. There's a lot of things that make it difficult to watch, but it's not Brenda Hampton. And if you're mad at Seventh Heaven for making you believe in a perfect Christian family, maybe you should be more mad at the Christianity that it's derived from than the person who is translating it into teen drama languages. And that's really what she did. I really like that. You know what? Like people say all this. I find Brenda Hampton. I think Brenda Hampton is a diabolical fucking live wire. She's tricky, and I like it. And I'm having trouble finding video interviews of her. There's like like a 1 or 2 minute long clip about Secret Life, and I love what she says there. I would love to fucking have longer interviews with her. She's really interesting to me, and I think, I think, I think she's a true artist. and yet Seventh Heaven is not true art. That's the most interesting part to me about this fucking show. Like, I'm giving up 3 seasons in. I can't do 11 seasons, man. None of it is hitting me. And it's like, I got it. Like I got the idea 3 episodes in. I was like, I get it. I could have made this same video 3 episodes in, but no, we're doing it 3 seasons later. And I have nothing profound to say about any storyline. It's kind of unhinged. It's kind of tone deaf. It's kind of wild. But I think that another argument that I'd like to make is possibly that teen drama tropes become unhinged when you translate them into Christian words, Christian characters, Christian moralities. Like these intrinsically postmodern tropes, when forced to conform to Christian mores, Christian moralities, are destined to seem convoluted and tone deaf and unhinged. And I think, at least like for an exercise, I think it's beautiful that it proves that there's this like tonal inconsistency, this dissonance when it comes to Christianity and teen drama. But it must have worked for the Christian family, because I don't think they had exposure to the other shows. They didn't even know any better, and thank God they were being exposed to these tropes at all, even if it wasn't in the most clever way or in the most impassioned one. I love that they were being exposed to these tropes, no matter what form they took. And Brenda Hampton, yeah, you're diabolical. Seventh Heaven is diabolical. Brenda Hampton is the only fucking artist who can fucking crush me. Your cold boyfriend, Zach, I have nothing. I have no defense against Brenda Hampton's crazy Christian teen shows. Her crazy Christian teen television overpowers me at every turn. So, if you've never watched Seventh Heaven, I really haven't given any spoilers of note. And I couldn't even think of a spoiler. I really couldn't even think of something that consequential to spoil. Um, give it at least a go, and watch it as open as I did, from the point of view of a sheltered Christian teen in the '90s who didn't have access to Dawson's Creek, and be like, "This is it. This is what I get. What kind of experience am I getting?" And I think you'll at least be both pleasantly surprised and like ridiculously humored by the experience that is Seventh Heaven. Um, uh, and maybe you'll end up like me, intoxicated by Brenda Hampton, sounding like an absolute lunatic in a YouTube analysis video that has gone on for far too long. Thank you for watching me.